Hey everyone, and welcome to the start of another reading vlog. So I'm really sorry if you can hear any noise in the background, but I've got to have my window open. It is like 30 degrees in the UK at the moment and I'm not doing well. So hopefully I don't look like I'm melting too much, even though I feel like I am. So I thought I would kick off this reading vlog by going through my reading plans for the week. And I decided to start last night, Ninth Reign by Jen Williams. I haven't heard many people talking about this book. I think it was Elliot Brooks who I heard mention it in a video, and I can't actually remember what she said about this book, but it sounded really interesting. So when I saw it in the library, I decided to pick it up, and it's due back next week. So I do want to try and finish this week, hopefully. So I think this book is the first in a trilogy, and it's set in a world where there's this city called Abora, and this city used to be beautiful. It used to be very rich. However, it's now fallen into disrepair. So there used to be this tree god who was the ruler of the people that lived in this city, and this tree god died, and the people used to feed off the tree sap, and so now because they can't do that, they're slowly dying. And I think there's also some sort of sickness that has started to affect the people that live here. And so you have the Aborans, but you also have the humans. And we're following a few different characters. I'm only about 3 chapters in. So far we've been introduced to this character called Tourmalin, and also his sister Hestilion. I'm really hoping that I'm pronouncing all of these names right. And then there's also another character we're following called Lady Vintage, and she, I think, is a human actually, and she's about to set off to travel the world to try and find this solution to this problem. I feel like I'm doing a really bad job of explaining this book, but there's also another character called Noon who is being kept on this island where these other women are being held, I believe. So Noon, I think, is some sort of witch, and all of these witches are being held on this island because they're able to create this fire. And that's about all I know so far. Like I said, I think I'm only about 50 pages into this book, probably even less than that actually, but I'm excited to carry on. I really like the writing style so far, and there's a lot of intrigue. I'm really interested to see how these characters are going to connect. The only thing I will say is that I wish this book had a map, because at the moment I am struggling to hold the different areas in my mind. But yeah, so far I am enjoying the writing style. Probably, thinking about it, shouldn't be starting a new fantasy series when I already have so many other fantasy series that I'm in the middle of, but hoping that I will enjoy this one. And I mean, it's a library copy, so if I don't enjoy it, then I can always DNF it and I haven't lost anything. But yeah, obviously I'll update you as I go. Hey everyone, so it's been a couple of days and it's still hot. I'm still melting, but I'm not going to talk about that because I feel like if you live in the UK, then you already know that it's hot. And if you live outside the UK, then you probably don't care. So anyway, I am now about 100 pages into The Ninth Reign by Jen Williams, and I am enjoying this so far. However, I feel like it's taken me a while to get properly into this. I've been reading it for a couple of days and I'm only 100 pages in because the build up so far has been very, very slow. It's mostly been world building and also introducing us to these characters, which I shouldn't moan about because I always say that one thing that I don't like in fantasy is when the world building is info dumpy, and this isn't info dumpy. It is a very gradual build up. There's quite a lot of history and lore to this world, and so I think that is why I'm just struggling to get my head around everything, but I think I am following it mostly so far. I'm pretty sure that this is categorized as an adult fantasy, and I will say that I like the writing so far. It's very easy to follow, but it's not overly simple. It's also not overly complicated, if that makes sense. I think that where I am struggling so far, as I've mentioned, is because the world building is so complex. But I do like it when a book throws me into the story and just lets me catch up. And I have heard that once I get past the 150 page mark, that's when suddenly everything is gonna click into place and it's all gonna make a lot more sense. I don't know how much more I want to say on the plot for this because I feel like a big part of my enjoyment so far has been trying to work out what the plot actually is of this book. But I think I've already mentioned we're following a few different main characters, and you know from the back of the book that at some point their stories are going to collide, and some of them have already paired up already. So the world in this book is called Sarn, or the Sarn, and their mortal enemies are called the Duralia. I really hope that I'm pronouncing all of these words right, but essentially the Sarn has these enemies that are worm creatures, and the last time they invaded was during something called the 8th Reign, and that was many years ago, and some of the worm creatures' remains are still existing in this world. I don't even know why I'm trying to explain the plot for this book, because I don't even know what the plot is myself, but I am enjoying it, and like I said, I'm definitely intrigued, and I like it when a book builds a world like this, where there are so many different threads, and I'm trying to catch up and try and work out what is going on. It makes me want to keep on reading because I don't like not knowing what is going on. So yeah, that is where I'm at so far on this book. In terms of my plans for the rest of this week, I am going into work tomorrow. We have this summer conference that I'm going to, and it's also my mum's birthday. So today my plan is to bake some blondies because I want to include them as part of a present. I also need to wrap a present, actually. Her main present is that we're going away to Oxford in a few weeks. I'm taking us away on just like a little weekend trip, so that'll be really nice. I also want to do some sort of exercise at some point today. I might go for a walk later, actually, if it's not too hot. I haven't left the house in about 3 days, I think it is, because as I have said many times in this vlog and in videos in general recently, it's really hot and I'm melting.
Wayward is my fickle heart. Where would I be if it weren't for your grace, your strength? Faithful is your mighty hand, drawing me close with your tender kindness, your mercy that saves. Abba, Father, I need you more of your strength, less of my own. Holy Spirit, teach my heart to walk in your.
Hey everyone, and happy Friday. So I feel like I've been really bad at updating this vlog so far this week because the last few days especially have been really busy, but I am now, I think, about 180 pages into the 9th Reign, and I'm still hoping that I will be able to finish this weekend, but so far I am really enjoying it. I don't know if I've done a very good job of explaining how I feel about this book so far. I've been editing the vlog footage that I've got so far, and I think you can tell that when I started this book, I was very confused what was actually going on, and I feel like I still have quite a lot to learn, but I do think that I can now try and give a summary of the plot. The plot is actually obviously described on the back of the book, but I don't think that the blurb does a very good job of actually summarising the plot. It's a lot more ambiguous. So the way that I would describe this book is that it's an adventure story. So you're following these 3 characters as they are on this adventure to uncover the mystery of this world and what's been happening in this world. Really liking the characters in this so far and how you see their interactions, and they all feel very distinctive. So Lady Vintage is very eccentric, I think is the word I want to use, and that is actually the word that's used on the back of the book to describe her. The way that she talks is very sort of, oh yes, of course, darling, you know, like that kind of personality, which I'm really liking. And then you have Tourmaline, who is this gruff bodyguard type figure. Then you also have Noon, who is probably the hardest character to try and explain. She comes across as quite insecure and very reserved, but on the surface she's trying to put out this confidence, even though you can tell that that is not how she feels, and she is very reluctant to open up. The world in this book is also very vivid in terms of the descriptions. So the way that I would describe this world is that it feels almost fairy tale like, but it's not a fairy tale, it's not whimsical. There's a lot of descriptions of woodlands and these giant mushroom fields and things like that. And then you also have the city of Abora, which I can picture as this very deserted city where, you know, there's not many people left there. Really excited to carry on reading this book because so far what I've told you in this vlog isn't even half of what I've actually learned about this world. And so I'm really excited to just carry on learning and see where it goes next. Okay, so it is actually still the same day, it's just a few hours later, and I am now about halfway through the 9th reign and really enjoying this. I think that the more of this that I read, the more I can feel myself being absorbed into the story, and also the more I appreciate the detail that has gone into the world building in this. I've actually gone back and edited slightly the intro to this vlog in that I've cut out certain things that I said in that intro, not because I think they're spoilers, because when I filmed the intro to this vlog, I'd literally read the first 3 chapters, and so I don't think anything that I would have said in the intro could be considered a spoiler, because you literally find it out within the first 50 pages, if that. However, because I am really loving the world building in this, I don't want to take that away from someone else who might want to read this. So I've left a few little details in the intro, but I've also cut out a few things that I said that I think could spoil the experience of reading this, if that makes sense. Don't know what else I can really say at this point, because obviously I don't want to go into any details on the plot, but I will say that the pace seems to have picked up quite a lot, especially in the last few chapters. There's been quite a lot of action, which I'm really enjoying. Yeah, I think that's all I can really say at this point, but if I had to make a prediction at this halfway point of a rating for this, I think it's going to be at least 4 stars, if not 5 stars. Like, I think that this has new favourite fantasy potential, and I'm really excited. But also, this is the first book in a trilogy, and do I have time to finish another trilogy this year? Probably not, but yeah, enjoying it. So this is not going to make sense to anyone who hasn't read this book, but something has just clicked into place that I didn't see coming at all, but it makes complete sense. And I probably could have worked this out sooner if I'd really thought about it, but also I don't know whether I would have. But now that this thing has been revealed, I am really excited, and I really like that. Good morning and happy Saturday. So I am getting really close to the end of the 9th reign. I think I'm less than 200 pages from the end. I'm on page 350 and this is a 530 page book, so we're getting close now. And I actually had to force myself to stop reading this book last night because I knew that if I carried on then I wouldn't be able to put it down, and I didn't want to be awake until 2-3 in the morning trying to finish it. But the action and the pace has definitely started to pick up and I'm hooked. Like, I feel invested in these characters and what they're trying to discover or work out, and so I need to know what is actually going on. So far I do think that it has been really cleverly written, and I don't want to compare this too much to other books because I feel like it is a very unique story. However, if you liked Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, then I think that you could potentially also really enjoy this, more so for the story though, rather than the actual writing style. So Laini Taylor does have a very distinctive writing style that's quite flowery, what word am I going for there? I think that if you liked the story in Strange the Dreamer, then you could potentially also enjoy the story in this. I also really like how certain chapters have diary entries from Vintage, and the way that they're incorporated into the story, I think it works really well, because it's almost like you're seeing Vintage's thoughts and you're seeing what she was thinking at the time, and I'm really enjoying how that adds to the story. So far there has been very little romance in this book, kind of, so it's been implied that one of the characters did have a relationship before the start of the book, And you do see glimpses of that through Lady Vintage's diary entries and her journal entries that, like I said, are at the start of certain chapters. And then there were a few very, very brief sex scenes towards the start of the book, but I can't really go into the details because there's something that I've left out deliberately from this book that I don't want to talk in too much detail about. What am I even saying? But like, I think what I'm trying to say is that if you are looking for a fantasy that has hints of romance, but it's not the main focus of the plot, then I think that that is what this book is. However, I am intrigued about how certain relationships are going to develop throughout the rest of this book and also the other books in the series, because I have theories, but obviously I don't want to share them. But yeah, I am really enjoying how the relationships in this book are being shown and how they are building up. I think that I said earlier that this is categorized as fantasy, but there are a few sci-fi elements woven throughout the story that I am really enjoying, and I would definitely recommend this so far. I mean, I know I've still got a little bit left to go, but I am really, really enjoying this book, and I think that a lot of other people would really enjoy it too. I think it is a book though that you do have to have a lot of patience for, because in the beginning there's not a lot that really makes sense and it does build up very, very gradually, but at least in my opinion it has been worth it, and I am so glad that I persisted. Hey everyone, so I am here to wrap up this vlog because I finished reading The Ninth Rain last night and I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it 5 stars because I can't think of any reason not to give it 5 stars. I actually, to be fair, towards the end, I did feel like it, I don't want to say it became predictable, but it wasn't surprising me in the way that I expected. There were certain things about the ending, don't get me wrong, that I didn't predict, but generally, I don't even know what I'm saying, but I think that there were certain things about the ending that I had already worked out, and I do actually, to be fair, think that it was well written. I think that the build-up to the conclusion was done really well. I also do still have a few questions that I'm hoping will be answered in the next book. I have already reserved book 2 from my library because I really want to read it soon. I don't know if I'm actually gonna realistically get round to reading it soon, but I've reserved it anyway and I'm gonna go and pick it up probably in the week. I am hoping that I'll get round to it in August, but August is actually my 1-year anniversary of when I started my BookTube channel, so I have something a little different planned for my TBR next month, which I'm really excited about, but I'm hoping that I will still have time to continue the series as well, because I think that this is so underhyped. I know that I've seen a few people talking about it recently, but I think that because I didn't know a lot about this book before I went into it, my expectations were a little lower. Obviously, I wouldn't have picked up the book if I didn't think that I was going to enjoy it, but I think that I enjoyed it so much more because there wasn't that preconception already in my mind. I do find that sometimes when a fantasy book is really, really hyped, I obviously see a lot of reviews for that book beforehand, and so I already do have certain expectations, but I didn't have that with this book, I think is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, 5 stars, would definitely recommend this if you like adult fantasy and if you're interested in a fantasy book that has very, very detailed world building, and also the character development in this was so good. I think I might have mentioned earlier that there are hints of romance in this book, but it's not the main focus of the plot. There's also LGBTQ+ rep, which is always good to see, and I think that in later books in this series the relationships could potentially develop more, so I'm really intrigued to see that too. Otherwise, I think I am going to end the vlog here, so thanks for watching if you've made it this far. I think that next week I am still going to do a vlog, but I don't know if it's going to be a full weekly reading vlog because I am going away to Oxford for a few days next weekend for my mum's birthday, so I don't know how much I'm going to read, but I thought I could do like a weekend vlog where I take you to Oxford and show you what we get up to. I think we might do a little bit of shopping while we're down there, and just, yeah, let me know in the comments if that's something that you would be interested in. But otherwise, I am going to go. So thanks again for watching, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and click subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Bye.